Boy Meets World ran for 7 seasons from 1993 to 2000. As far as sitcoms go, it was fairly standard fare. But what made the series so memorable was its stellar cast of characters. There was Corey, Topanga, Sean, and Eric, and who could forget everyone's favorite teacher and mentor, Mr. Feeney, played by the one and only William Daniels. When Daniels accepted the role of the beloved middle school teacher, he was already a celebrated thespian and veteran of the big and small screen. He had already won 2 Emmy Awards for the time he spent portraying Dr. Mark Craig on St. Elsewhere, and he had starred in some noteworthy films, such as The Graduate in 1967 and 1776 in 1972. Knight Rider fans might remember Daniels as the voice of KITT, the artificial intelligent, self-aware, and indestructible smart car. Even though Daniels is now 93 years old, the Brooklyn native still manages to take on the occasional acting role. In 2012, he portrayed Dr. Craig Thomas on 5 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. From 2014 to 2017, he reprised his role as Mr. Feeney in the Boy Meets World reboot series Girl Meets World. In 2020, he guest starred in HBO Max's romantic action comedy Superintelligence, once again playing the voice of KITT the car. Mr. Feeney will probably stand the test of time as Daniels' most memorable character, but you might be surprised to find out he almost never played the iconic character. We'll touch on that in just a minute, but make sure you keep watching to find out all about William Daniels' life and career. He was more than just a high school teacher, far from it. Before we get started, are you interested in partnering with FactsVerse? You can get your brand right here in front of your target audience, getting thousands of eyes on your business or product. To learn more about our sponsorship program, contact us today at business@factsverse.com. Daniels quit Boy Meets World after the first rehearsal. With Daniels' respectable portfolio of high-profile works, signing on to a family sitcom for ABC's Friday night programming block, TGIF, might have appeared to be unexpected. When Daniels played Dr. Craig on St. Elsewhere, his acid-tongued character was never the kind of person who young people might seek counsel from. Daniels saw the Mr. Feeney character as something initially foreign to him. He was also pretty dissatisfied with the way teachers were portrayed on most TV shows. At a cast and crew meeting with Michael Jacobs, the show's writer and executive producer, Daniels told him he refused to play a high school teacher if he were to be made to look foolish just for some kind of cheap laugh. Daniels wrote in his autobiography, There I Go Again, in 2017, that he's always had a tremendous amount of respect for teachers, whom he sees as being some of the most underpaid and underappreciated people in society. He wasn't about to portray one on TV as some kind of bumbling fool. Fortunately, Jacobs never intended on Mr. Feeney being some kind of buffoon. He actually based the character on his high school drama teacher, for whom he had a great deal of respect. Regardless, Daniels was initially dissatisfied with how Mr. Feeney was portrayed in the script at the first table reading and promptly quit. Jacobs agreed to rework the role with Daniels' guidance. Michael Jacobs recognized that Daniels was crucial for his new series. He wasn't about to let him go so easily. As Daniels was exiting the table read, Jacobs got up and told him to give him another chance. He informed Daniels he would revise the script and have a new version available to him by the following morning. If he still wanted to quit then so be it. But all he wanted was one last opportunity to keep him on board. Lo and behold, Jacobs got to work and had a new script available to Daniels the very next day, just as he promised. Daniels gave it a read and found it to his liking, and he decided to stick with the show. Michael Jacobs loved what Daniels brought to the table. Sure, his credentials were already impressive, but the prickly rectitude and fatherly concern, as Jacobs put it, that Daniels delivered on screen was absolutely irresistible to viewers. All Daniels wanted was for Mr. Feeney to be written with a level of respect. He wanted teachers and academics to be presented in a positive light, and that was one request that Michael Jacobs and the production team of Boy Meets World were more than happy to accommodate. Daniels reflected in his autobiography how whenever an actor signs on to do a play, film, or TV show, there's always a bit of uncertainty about how the audience will react to it. He went on to express gratitude for the fact that the show was met with such a positive response by viewers and critics. It warms his heart when he hears people still talk about Boy Meets World and Mr. Feeney in a positive light to this day. We don't mean to get too sidetracked, but if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tap the bell icon to turn on notifications. And keep watching to find out what Daniel's favorite scene was in all of Boy Meets World's 7 seasons. Spoiler alert, it's a heart-tugger. He got his start on Broadway and won 2 Emmys before playing Mr. Feeney. Decades before he was dishing out sagely advice to middle schoolers on an ABC sitcom, Daniels began his career as a stage performer. In the 1930s, when he was still a child, he was a member of a song and dance team with his siblings in Brooklyn. Daniels admits that when he was young, he didn't have the same kind of appreciation for acting that he has today. At the time, he actually had some resentment towards his mother for making him perform. The Daniels family made their TV debut in 1943 on NBC. That was the same year Daniels made his Broadway debut in Life with Father. For the next couple of decades, he was very active on Broadway. In 1969, he earned himself a Tony nod for playing John Adams in 1776, but he ended up turning it down because of a long-standing rule that stipulated that only actors who were credited above the show's title were considered to be leading actors. Even though Daniels was very obviously the lead in that play, producer Stuart Ostro decided to list everyone below the title in an attempt to present the cast as an ensemble. Daniels humbly withdrew himself voluntarily from consideration for the prestigious award. After 24 years on Broadway, Daniels made the jump from stage to screen when he played Mr. Braddock in The Graduate in 1967. He subsequently reprised his role as John Adams in the 1972 film adaptation of 1776. He continued to earn the respect of his peers and critics when he joined the cast of St. Elsewhere in 1982. For his role, he was nominated for 5 Emmys and won twice. Notably, when he won in 1986, his wife Bonnie Bartlett also took an Emmy home for her portrayal as his on-screen wife. He's a father of 2. Daniels got married to fellow actress and Emmy Award winner Bonnie Bartlett in 1951. A decade later, Bonnie gave birth to their first son. Sadly, that child died just 24 hours after it was born. The loss proved devastating for the Daniels, but it didn't put a stop to their desire to rear a family. They later adopted 2 children. Their oldest adoptive son, Michael Daniels, went on to follow in his parents' footsteps by pursuing a career in show business. He became an assistant director and stage manager in LA. Robert Daniels, their youngest, is a graphic designer and artist based out of New York City. Can you imagine what it must have been like to grow up with Mr. Feeney as your father? That must have been a trip. Daniels still receives Mr. Feeney fan mail. Daniels portrayed Corey and Eric Matthews' teacher and next-door neighbor, Mr. Feeney, with all of his owl-like wisdom from their tween years until they were college-aged. His audience appeal was a result of the fact that he was a hodgepodge of a friend, mentor, and advisor, all crammed into one respectable package. In his autobiography, he acknowledges he still receives fan mail for that role to this day. Viewers routinely remind him of how the show and his role helped shape them in their younger, more formative years. Even though the show lasted quite a few seasons, he hones in on the series finale as containing one of his favorite Mr. Feeney moments. Daniels reports that the final scene still brings him tears, even all these years later. When he says his heartfelt goodbye to his former students, he holds off on revealing his true feelings until they've all left the classroom. Feeney was hard-nosed and borderline authoritarian for so many years, but it's revealed in this touching moment he has a lot of affection in his heart for his students. After everyone leaves the room and he sits there looking at all of the empty desks, he opens up and says, "I love you all." At 93 and still not retired, you have to give it to the guy. He's somewhat of a marvel and living legend. And sure, people on the street still address him as Mr. Feeney, but he's far from a one-trick pony. Can you imagine anyone else as the voice of Kit on Knight Rider? We'd love to hear from you. Would you have liked having Mr. Feeney as your teacher when you were a kid? Or do you think he was a little too strict for your liking? Drop your opinions in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Tap the bell icon to turn on notifications so you can keep up with all our latest facts-packed videos. We're going to wrap this video up with the parting words of wisdom that Mr. Feeney had to offer Corey, Eric, and Topanga in the series finale. Believe in yourselves, dream, try, do good.